Welcome to Kicking Your Teens Troubles to the Curb with host Christina Nation, the ultimate guide for parents navigating the challenging yet rewarding journey of raising teenagers. Join your host Christina as she dives deep into the world of adolescence, tackling everything from academic pressures and social dynamics to mental health and independence. So please, welcome the host of Kicking Your Teens Troubles to the Curb, Christina Nation.
Hello and welcome to Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb. I am super excited. I have a personal announcement today. Since our last show, I became a grandma. So, yes, on August 12th, my granddaughter was brought into this world and she is just perfect. I am so overjoyed to be a grandma, and there is nothing better than seeing your baby become a mama. I'm just so proud of her. She is so amazing. And just letting y'all know, if you hear some crying in the background, that is Callie. Oh, well, thank you for letting me share. And also, I am just so excited for our guests today. We have Aparna Venkataraman with us today, and she's going to be talking about breath work. So, let me introduce her. She has 20 years of experience connecting with thousands of families in schools, children's hospitals, and nonprofit organizations. She is the founder of Beauty in Parenting and a worldwide parent coach, meditation breathwork teacher, motivational speaker, and wellness advocate for doTERRA essential oils. With her approachable nature, Aparna has strong intuition and problem solving skills. She guides parents of babies, toddlers, and teens, couples, and extended family to empower themselves and build healthy relationships with one another through effective communication, creating boundaries, self care, confidence building, and light-hearted mindfulness techniques. So, welcome, Aparna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I'm sorry, I think I messed up your last name after all.
That's okay. You're not the only one. It's Aparna Venkataraman. Thank you. Thank you for having me. No problem.
Thank you. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to have you here today. We have lots of great stuff to cover. So, why don't we start by first just telling us how you got started in mindfulness and helping families?
Yeah, so as you said, I've been with families for about 20 years now, and started in my teen years, and it really started from birth. This is a really wonderful story for me, where I was born very prematurely and had a difficult birth, and I went through a lot in my very younger years of dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression, and had a very stressful childhood that was filled with a lot of emotions, a lot of bullying in my life, and a lot of that deep. I had a fun childhood in some sense with my friends, but a lot of like that deep like lack of purpose, that deep lack of that deep loneliness in some sense too, of not being connected to myself. I had a lot of expectations on me and a lot of people, just a lot of stressors in my life in general growing up. And that's when I went on to study. In college, I took a lot of yoga, and I learned a lot of breath work then. And I learned a lot of child development and psychology. And putting that all together, I really found that mindfulness helped me to calm myself in a way that had never happened before in my life. And so I just noticed that like my stress levels and my anger levels, the more I practiced it continuously, really supported me in thinking clearly, in my relationships with others, in my healing work of what I went through. And I found that I just was I was connected to myself in a way that I really really appreciated. And it went on to um, I went on to one of the first jobs I ever had was working and doing a lot of volunteer work in the United Way, the summer of my teens, and helping creating a family resource center and helping out a lot of families who didn't have um, many resources for food or electricity. And then I went on to work through AmeriCorps and work in a child advocacy center with children who had been going through a lot and families who had been going through a lot of abuse. And um, worked in a boys and girls club with after school kids, and really really just loved like the the joy of supporting very young kids through preteens and teens and helping them with whatever stressors they were going through. I remember having a situation where I was working with a girl who was maybe a preteen, and she was talking with me about the stresses going on in her family life and how she didn't feel safe and comfortable talking with her mom about what's going on in her life, and she just constantly felt that stress, right? And so we worked through some easy breathwork techniques and some mindfulness techniques at that time that um, helped her to really see things clearly and helped her to feel supported and heard in a way that she hadn't been able to feel in that way, and how to talk with her mom about what she was feeling going through. And I think just getting in, mindfulness helps me to get in touch with how I'm feeling for the day, with my emotions. And I think that in the teen years, when you're dealing with a lot of things with hormones and relationships and getting to know yourself and academic pressures and where you want to be in life, it's really nice to have this regular practice of just coming back to yourself, coming back to who you are and what you stand for in life too, and how you're feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. That's a beautiful story and definitely important work. And you really did start as a teen. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
But
did start as a
really,
teen. Yeah.
that's great. Some great organizations to work with for sure. But I definitely agree the importance of mindfulness and breath work and getting centered and like you said, especially during the teen years when there's a lot of searching for identity, but to kind of find
Mm-hmm.
yourself and connect with yourself and ground yourself is so important. um, I find really all stages. I mean, it's younger and younger our kids are learning these skills, and it's proving so beneficial. And then myself, even, I am also an adult family home provider. And so I
Mm-hmm.
care for elderly, and I use it with them as well. And it's so, so beneficial. So I think all ages can really benefit for
Yeah.
sure. So thank you so
Right.
much for being here and sharing. And if you could just share a little bit more about, why specifically breath work, and do you have any client stories that you could share with us?
Yeah, so I teach also meditation, but the reason I think why I got into breath work and deep breathing was because I had a wonderful breathwork teacher who taught me many of these practices that I'll be sharing with you. And I found that in times of stress with my jobs or in being an entrepreneur, before I became an entrepreneur with beauty and parenting, I was a toddler teacher for many years and worked in a
Mhm.
classroom. But there was that stress. There was a lot of ongoing stress of working that kind of a job and living where I lived, and a lot of things were happening with my family at that time. And so, I really found that the more that I practiced that deep breathing, um, I I wasn't I wasn't reacting as much to other people. I wasn't angry as much. I wasn't frustrated as much. I was in a place where I was in control of my self care, and I um, really found that I was able to take anything that was deeply affecting me at that time and just able to release it, and release it in a way that maybe meditation is a little bit different, where you are practicing a little bit more stillness, but breath work is something where you can really, like, it affects your lung capacity in a beautiful way, where it strengthens that and lengthens that, and it also oxygenates your body in a different way. And so I was able to take on more of, what was happening, and not let it affect me as much too. And so I think that deep breathing um, is a little bit more accessible. You don't have to take as much time to get into it the way you would with meditation, and it's something that can be done from anywhere, whether you're driving or at school or at home or about to go to bed. I think that it's a bit of an easier way to, it's an easier form of mindfulness to get into. And so I'll be sharing a couple of the different ways that it can help you as a teen or as a parent as well.
Yeah, I am super excited for you to demonstrate that for us. I know myself, even as a teen, I started noticing that I was breathing very shallow,
Yeah.
and not really taking in those breaths. And I started following Deepak Chopra and some of his different
Mm-hmm.
exercises, and that definitely made a difference for me. So, super excited for you to share. And before you do, I think it's a really good time for us to take a short break. So we're going to take a sponsor break. You are here watching How to Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb with Christina Nation and Aparna, and we are streaming on Bold Brave TV. So we will be right back after this break. Thank you.
Mike Zoric, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 100. All these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zoric, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zoric has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb. I'm your host, Christina Nation, and today my guest is Aparna, and we are discussing the benefits of breath work. So I'm super excited as she's going to be sharing with us some different practices. But before we get into that, she was sharing with us her benefits personally that she's experienced from breath work. And I just wanted to ask if there were some client stories that you wanted to share with us of others who had benefited from breath work.
Yeah, sure. I completely forgot you asked me that. Thank you for asking me. I have had many clients over the years. I also am a parent coach, but I specifically offer meditation and breathwork sessions because I've had a lot of teens who have come to me stressed about, careers. They've been stressed about the end of high school. They've been stressed about things with their siblings and their parents. And I know that I once had um, someone who was about 17 or 18 who came to me, and they were, I guess, confused about their career path and didn't know if they wanted to go to college. And they were at a very stressful time. They were having a lot of pressures from family and teachers and others to be perfect. And so we did an in-person session, and I also offer them online on Zoom and phone. But we did an in-person session where we really just sat down together and faced each other. And I took some time um, to really talk through, what was going on and how he was feeling, and working through what emotions were coming up, whether that was shame or guilt. And we took some time to just sit with each other and practice for a couple of minutes, um, some deep breathing. And in that 30-minute session, we really found that afterwards he was feeling calmer, but he also could think clearly, and was able to he felt a lot lighter just releasing whatever was going on mentally for him, as he had this
Right.
better connection to his body, right? And we noticed his breathing was shallow, and he was angry and frustrated with others, and he just wanted to be seen, and he wanted to be heard, and to have that voice and have his opinion matter. And I think that that was really profound for him. We also did use some essential oils as well, and that essential oils are plants in an oil-based form, and they just kind of help to, if you want to feel more focused and happier, or you want to feel more relaxed and grounded, they just help that to facilitate that on a deeper level for him too. And he liked those scents as well. And so sometimes with clients who will use oils, that like smelling an essential oil will help them to remind themselves to do that breath work and to take those deeper breaths, wherever they
Yeah.
are in their day. And so um, I did have, in the past few months, I had a parent who came to me for her teens who were fighting with each other a lot. And they were they were really stressed out about after school and being near each other, and needing their own space. And what we found was that they didn't have time after school to process whatever was going on in their day, to process their emotions.
Mhm.
And so we worked through creating a calm corner, which you and I will talk about a little bit later on. But creating a calm corner where I think it is important for each member of the family, and this is something I specialize in, is not just helping a parent or a child, but my with beauty and parenting, my parent coaching process is called wholehearted parenting. And so I do look at
Mhm.
each member of the family and how they're getting along, and the ways that they are practicing self-care too. That is something I go through. And so this teen, she was going through a lot in her teen years academically, and didn't have that self-care time to process what she was going through. And so she was
Mhm.
lashing out at her siblings, didn't want to play with them, didn't want to be there at mealtime or listen. um, just didn't have that motivation to want to participate in family activities as much anymore. And so we worked through the breathwork exercises, and we talked about, like, she could do something as simple as tracing her hand whenever she was feeling
Mhm.
stressed, and taking a couple of deep breaths, or having a sensory object, like even a stress ball, something that she could just hold
Mhm.
on to, that could just like calm her down and help her to regulate what was going on. And so um, over the course of, I think, 4 or 6 weeks working together, we really found that she found that increased energy level, and she was nicer to her siblings over time,
Mhm.
and the family life was getting much better. And she was, she found more creative outlets of maybe volunteering that she did, or spending more time in church. And she found ways that she could easily stress, and that was what was most important. And it was something where she could do that anytime, whether she was driving or getting up in the morning, and it created that ripple effect for her family of them all getting
Mhm.
along much better and not having stressful days as well. So
Right.
those are some of the ways that I've really helped teens, especially. And it's generally, a lot of them come to me either not having much motivation or having big emotions that are coming up. And so we just work
Mhm.
through what's coming up, because a lot of the times I'm introducing some practices to them that they've never done before, or they've never heard of, or they haven't had the time to do. And so just we look at how you can incorporate them into your schedule, into your existing schedule, and not make it much more of a stressor for you. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Such important work. And I'm really curious. You just said that you use it for motivation. So I would like to hear more about that, because I definitely have, used and taught parents different ways of, self-regulating and then
Mm-hmm.
co-regulating with their teen, and then teaching them the skills for that emotion regulation that does involve mindfulness, meditation, breath work, um,
Right.
and such. But I know that parents talk a lot about struggling, because their has a lack of motivation. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
quite familiar how breath work would um, help with that. So I'd love to, if you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think that with motivation, you generally, when you lack motivation, you're lacking that inner, I think, that inner connection to yourself. You're lacking that inner energy, pretty much, that is coming up as well too, whether that's mental energy or physical energy. And sometimes you're generally lacking like that regular routine that's going to keep you on track. Sometimes I found that usually clients with who lack motivation, they are lacking something, that little bit of structure that they're needing to. And so I will do some deep breathing with them, and we'll work on a lot of positive affirmations that will help with the
Mhm.
motivation. It'll help with what they're telling themselves, because usually when you're lacking motivation, you're probably in your head feeling a lot of anxiety or overthinking, or feeling bouts of depression. And so um, I think it is important what we tell ourselves. And a huge affirmation that helps my clients and has helped me is, you're doing the best that you can. I'm doing the best that I
Yeah.
can. And sometimes you can sit there with deep breathing, and you can say, I'm inhaling more peace into my life, or I'm inhaling
Mhm.
more motivation into my life. And I like to use, even with meditation, I like to use colors. And so you can fill yourself up with maybe an orange color or a yellow color into your mind, into your body, something that's going to fill you up in the ways that you've been feeling like you're lacking too. And so a lot of times with teens, we'll talk through what they feel like they're lacking, and these are a lot of things
Mhm.
that they feel like they can't go to their parents or whomever, guidance counselors, teachers, whomever, their partners, and really talk about these things. And that helps to release that shame. And so I think with deep breathing, you are releasing some things, but it's also about what you're filling yourself up with as well too, with breath work. And so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of times parents become frustrated when their teen is not showing motivation. But it's
Yeah.
important that they realize where that's coming from, right? And like you said, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that lack of motivation is coming from depression or anxiety, or even just a lot of self or negative self-talk, right? And
Yeah.
what are those
Yes.
thoughts that they're embodying? So I love that you're doing that work with shifting some of those negative thoughts into something more productive, more self love, right?
Right.
And
Self-affirming as well. Yeah.
self
Yeah.
affirming. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Such
Thank
important
you.
work. I'm looking really forward to you getting into some of the breathwork practices right after this break. We're going to take
Yeah.
another quick sponsor break. And then when we come back, we're going to have you demonstrate some practices for us. So we are Christina Nation, and you're watching Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb, and we will return right after this sponsor break. Thank you.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb. I'm your host, Christina Nation, and we are streaming on Bold Brave TV. And today our guest is Aparna, who has been sharing with us the amazing benefits of breath work. And I'm super excited that she's going to be sharing some practices. But first, I just want to say that these practices are so important that we, as parents of teens, can learn ourself, right? Starting with
Yes.
ourself and using
Yeah.
them for our own self-care and our own self-regulation. And then we can practice them with our teen in a way to co-regulate. And then we can teach our teens so that they have the skills to begin their own emotion regulation, right? So that
Right.
is what I
Yeah.
love about practices. So if you're going to share with us some practices that can help a teen or parent with anger, frustration,
Hmm.
or maybe mental focus, anxiety, which is
Yeah.
so prevalent nowadays, right? Yes, I'd love
Right.
love for you to share.
Sure. Thank you. So, yeah, so I definitely encourage the parent to try these out and to maybe, try them with your teen if they're open to it, or the teen can watch this video as well, whatever works.
Mhm.
But whatever feels best for you. I'll start with the one for anxiety. That's a huge one that's coming up these days with whatever's going on in life. There's a lot going on in the world, I know. And a lot of people are feeling anxious in many ways. And so, one you can do is I love to take both my hands and rub them together and create a little warmth. And when I'm doing anything mindful, I kind of tilt my head downwards a little bit. And I do this just because when I'm focused and alert, my head is up, my posture is um, straighter. But if I want to kind of tune in, I will sometimes close my eyes and just tilt my head downward a little bit, my chin downward. And so I'll rub my hands together and create a little bit of warmth. And I'll first kind of just trace down from the top of my head and just releasing any kind of tension. And we as humans tend to hold a lot of tension in our jaws, especially if we're angry or frustrated. And just kind of doing that. And then just bringing it down to the chest. And so this first one for anxiety is called a butterfly hug. And you may have heard of it, Christina. But it's something that's been really, really helpful. And so a wonderful thing you can do, you can cross your hands over like this and onto your chest where your heart is. And just taking a couple of inhales, inhaling through the nose, and then we'll exhale through the mouth. So inhaling for a few seconds, 1, while tapping your chest, 2, and 3, relaxing your jaw and your mouth. And exhaling, 3. And I like to count backwards, 2 and 1 when I'm exhaling. I'll try that again. Just letting your chest relax. Inhale, 1, 2, and 3. And exhaling through the mouth, 3, 2, and 1. And usually I'll do that for about 3 or 4 rounds when I need to. And I'll find that doing that is like giving yourself a hug. It feels like giving yourself a hug. And doing this in this chest area, and I know that you know this as well, it's that like skin to skin contact that you would have maybe with a baby, or if you're hugging someone, then generally it's chest to chest. And you're getting that oxytocin, that warmth that you would have. And so when you're feeling anxious, generally you need that sense of that security and that safety that you would maybe get from another person. So giving that to yourself, tapping on yourself, the same way if you were like if someone was hugging you and tapping your back, lets you know that your body is okay, that you're feeling okay, that you're feeling that sense of safety. And so were you doing that with me? Feeling that? Sorry, I have my eyes closed. Yeah.
And so, I definitely feel the peace and love and warmth. Definitely a warmth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Wonderful. And so that's a wonderful one that you can do. I think if you're feeling a lot of anxiety, you can also, give yourself a huge hug. And I think just practicing that breath work. Generally, when I'm practicing breath work, I will have one hand on my heart and the other one rested on my knee. And it's this practice of just, touching yourself or connecting to yourself. And if you don't feel like doing that, you can use an object if you want to hold on to. But just when we do that, we create this space out of our mind where we're overthinking. That's helping us to breathe very shallow, because any kind of anger or anxiety will, create that shallow breathing for us because we're not fully being present. And so doing that is a wonderful way to reduce that anxiety. And so I'd love to get into a practice to help with anger and frustration. And this is something that even like younger children, toddlers, 2 or 3-year-olds can do. But it is a wonderful it's a wonderful practice for your inner child that you can do as well. And so again, you can rub your palms together. And I like to put my hands out like this. And I love, and you can breathe naturally if you want to, or you can take a couple of deep breaths. Sometimes I will inhale for 4 or 5 seconds and exhale for a little bit longer if I can, if I'm really having a tough day. But with anger and frustration, I find that sometimes it's helpful to switch to something a little bit more lighthearted. And so I will have this visualization of holding a dandelion flower in front of me, or holding this. But just holding this in front of me and just inhaling for a couple of seconds. 1, through the nose, 2, and 3. And then imagining myself blowing that flower for a couple of seconds. And the exhale. And you can also visualize even holding a bubble wand and inhaling, inhaling and just like building up all of that pressure, all of that frustration that you're feeling, anything that's really bothering you, and then just releasing it and letting it go. And this is a nice slow release, and it kind of feels like if you have like a pressure cooker and it's a kettle and it's releasing that steam the way you're cooking. But it's a nicer way to release whatever is going on, instead of all of the ways that we could be more aggressive in releasing anger and things like that too. That I think because of our hormones, in years especially, we so want to be more aggressive, right? We so want to lash out at people. And so I find that with parents who are really angry and frustrated, that practicing even for 30 seconds a minute, these kinds of practices, as silly as it may seem, or you can use it, we can come up with other visualizations for you, but it's just tapping into that inner child and that new visualization that is completely new for you, that your brain can really enjoy those calming effects too. And so I think with anger and frustration, as I said, like some of my clients have like a stress ball or an anxiety ball that will really help them, just to have that physical object too, that they can hold. But it's just something that is there for you to help kind of reframe and switch your perspective too.
Right. And I know for myself that when I started first practicing these, when I was fine, right? When I wasn't angry, and started practicing them on a regular basis. Then when I did become angry, it was easier to grab that tool in the moment and use it to help me calm myself in that anger. So I think that's so important, is, that start practicing these tools, learning these tools when you are calm, and then practicing them on a regular basis. So then when you really need them in that heat of the moment, you're able to grab that tool and practice.
Yeah. And I think that when we were talking about also with like parents can practice these with their teens, especially too. And I think finding those moments where, even when you're driving, but not if you're the driver, but like if you're driving with your teen and they're sitting in the passenger seat, sometimes I love this idea also of parents and teens just like going on drives together or walks together, where it doesn't always have to be like an eye contact, like having to like deal with that kind of stressful interaction, but it's just like we're together, like parallel together, and we're just like doing what we're doing too. And so that way there's no judgment there, right? And so I think that's also a great time to try that as well too.
Yeah. I think that's great. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've got one more practice I will share today for mental focus That's one of my
Oh,
favorite ones. And it just will take another minute to do that. And this is something that I love to do if you have like an essential oil or a scent you love, or if you're just finding like you've got brain fog or you're overthinking. But just to kind of rub your palms together and kind of cup over your nose and just kind of inhale there and sort of bring together in one place. Inhaling for 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. And then exhaling through the mouth. 3, 2, and 1. And just bringing your attention to this place, I think it's just like a really simple one that you can do, especially if you like had a hard morning or a difficult day. If you can't get, if you can't sleep that well too, that's a really wonderful one as well to try. And so I know that I think there's one more I wanted to quick share for better sleep. If that is something that I think, that's something that I think a lot of teens do go through as
yes.
well too, is the
Yes.
sleep issues, especially, and also the parents, obviously, with whatever's going on. And so I love to just quickly, like if you're laying down or if you're like in a reclining position, you can hold a sensory object if you want to, but just like just placing your hand on your heart and just, I think, inhaling for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then holding it for up to 7 seconds for as much as you can. And then making sure that when you exhale that it's 8 seconds, that it's longer than when you inhaled. And doing this for 3 or 4 rounds, practicing this when you're laying down, when you're about to go to bed, that helps you not only to relax, but it creates a good breathing rhythm when you are sleeping as well too. And so I find that when clients practice this in whatever form they want to with their bedtime routine or nap time, that it creates a deeper level of sleep for them, a better quality sleep for them. And so a lot of my teen clients, a lot of my college student clients would come to me being like, I can't sleep well, or I'm overexhausted, or I'm sleeping too much and things like that. And so we get to the root of that with deep breathing too. And it's just a lot about like just balancing out your day when you do all of that too.
Yeah. I love that. So important. All right, we're going to take one last sponsor break. So we'll be right back after this. This is Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb, and we will be right back after this sponsor break.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Kick Your Teens Troubles to the Curb. I'm your host, Christina Nation. We are streaming on Bull Brave TV. And today we have Aparna with us sharing different breath work practices. And they are just so helpful and so beneficial. So you can definitely, if you missed it, watch the replay, practice
Yeah.
these on your own, teach them to your teens, help them learn to practice these breathwork practices. So beneficial. And now you had mentioned earlier about uh, having a calm corner for your teen. And
Mm-hmm.
I have been trained in positive discipline. So I was always teaching parents how to set up a calm corner for younger children. And I also
Yeah.
worked as a behavior specialist in the school district where we set up calm corners in the classrooms and filled it with a
Yeah.
sensory object. But I'd love to hear how you find this beneficial and set this up during the teen years as well.
Yeah. So obviously, as a toddler teacher, we created a lot of calm corners that were really cozy. We had little couches and things like that. But for the teen years, obviously, it's more up to the teen on what they would like to
Mm.
do. And this can be something. This could be a corner of your room that has maybe like a beanbag chair, something comfortable like a blanket. And we've been talking a lot about things today that are feel like safe and secure and cozy for you. A lot of times they can have like posters on the wall that are uplifting to them or things that make them feel happier and more balanced. A lot of my
Mhm.
teen clients they've had essential oils, but they've had like journals out. They've had like artwork. They've had like paints and watercolors and like colored pens. Sometimes um, sometimes it could be your tablet if you wanted that to be too. A lot of parents right now are, we're all on screens, and sometimes even to decompress after school, just like having that like one game you like to play too, and that could be whatever kind of game that it could be like a word game or a puzzle game or something not as overstimulating as well. And so I think that for teens, having that space that doesn't always have to be about like their books and their schoolwork, or their computer there, or something that's going to be mentally stimulating for them or cause even more anxiety or frustration. Just a place. I know growing up when I was a teen, I had like a little diary, a little journal that I used to just like write in and things like that too, and nobody saw it, nobody knew that I had it. And um that was just something that like is really beneficial for me to have too. And so with teens, I encourage you to use something that feels really special to you, really really calming to you, and feels like a place that you really can just release and work on any emotions that are coming up. And just helps you just like creating that routine or that place that feels like a happy place to you in some sense too. It doesn't even have to be indoors. It could be like your back patio. It could be your car space
Yeah.
too, and how you're taking care of that. It could be like, your bathroom. It could be about your bathtub. But I'm curious, Christina, do you have any ideas on your end of what's been helpful for you with you
Yeah.
and your family or teens with calm corners? Any objects, ideas?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of what you said, I think, is just about creating space for your own personal sanctuary, right? So,
Yeah.
whether your child is young or a teen, or for you yourself, right? Just to
Yeah.
have those objects within that space that are important to
Yeah.
you and help you to center yourself and practice that
Mhm.
self-care and nurture yourself. So like you said, it could be anywhere that you feel is a sacred space for you. So definitely,
Right.
encouraging your teen to create such a space and then let them, decide what that looks like for them. So wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I know
thank
also,
you.
by the way, that I know, by the way, also that a lot of teens have had like instruments that they've played, musical instruments that been helpful, drums, guitars. So, I encourage that for you, especially like boys have really loved that. So whatever works for you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely music is definitely a big one for a lot of
Yeah.
teens, especially. All right.
Mhm.
Well, this has been such an amazing conversation. I'm so happy you joined us today. I wish we had more
Thank you.
time because there's so much more I'd love to get into,
Yeah.
but we are coming to
Yeah.
our end. So just quickly, if you can share with my audience how they can learn more about your work and how you help others with the breath work and mindfulness.
Mhm. Yeah, so my website is beautyinparenting.com, and you can find me on Instagram at beautyinparenting or Facebook at that page name. I offer private one-on-one sessions for parents, for moms, for teens, for families together, where we'll meet in person. Here, I'm in North Carolina, or um, over on Zoom or on the phone worldwide. I've had a lot of worldwide clients in different countries, Europe, Australia, Canada, Africa, to support them in what you're specifically needing. And I keep my sessions very lighthearted, and it's not going to be one where you're coming away like crying a lot or being super emotional, unless it's coming up for you. But I love to just talk through as a non-judgmental space of what you're going through and find the practices that work best for you. I also do offer. I also do have free meditations on my website as well. Free meditation and breathwork practices that are under 5 minutes for kids and adults, and that's all available there. And I offer a free 30-minute consultation if you have questions, so I can share a strategy or two with you to help you out, whether you decide to work with me or not. But I love supporting teens right now and supporting families as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Definitely check her out. And also, if you are, worried that your teen might be struggling with their mental health, maybe depression, then you can go to my website to download your 10 ways to distinguish between typical teenage phase and teen depression. And you can go to empoweredparenting.family. Also, if you haven't grabbed my book, I have a whole chapter in there about self regulation and some different
Mm-hmm.
tools that you can work with, which definitely Aparna's meditations, mindfulness, and
Yeah.
breath work is so important. So, that my book is The Power of Everyday Grace,
Yeah.
Parenting Teens with Depression. There's also a companion workbook that has 30 days of practicing self care activities,
Mm-hmm.
meditations, that you can use because it is so important in parenting your teen, especially if they're struggling with depression. So pick that up
Yeah.
on Amazon today. And thank you for joining us for Kick Your Teen's Depression to the Curb. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
This has been Kicking Your Teen's Troubles to the Curb with host Christina Nation. Tune in each week as Christina features expert interviews, real-life stories, and practical strategies that empower parents to connect with their teens and effectively address their struggles. Here, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.